Hello YouTube, my name is Adrienne and welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a tag video for you. I obviously wasn't really tagged to do this, and this tag is a little bit of an older one, but that's okay. It looks like fun, and now that I have a YouTube channel, I can go back and do all of those old tags if I want to. So the one I have for you today is the reader problems tag. It consists of 11 questions, all having to do with problems that readers face and how you would deal with a situation. So let's just get into the tag. The first question is, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How do you decide what to read next? It sometimes feels like I have 20,000 books on my TBR because new books are always coming out and I'm always excited for a bunch of new books, and so it seems like I always am growing my TBR, and I am. But the way I usually decide what I'm going to read next is really, what do I feel like reading? If I feel like rereading a book, I'll reread a book. If I feel like that new release that just came out, I'm super excited for, I want to get to right now, I will. If it's a book that I see on my shelf and I'm like, that has been there for a really long time and I was really excited for it when I got it, why haven't I read it? I'll read that book. It really just comes down to what I feel like reading. And if I don't feel like reading anything, I will usually pick up an older book that I've read before that I know I love, because if I already know I love it, then there's no chance that I'm going to be upset by it, and there's no chance that I'm not going to like it, and it usually just gets me back in the mood to read books and find more books that I love. Question number 2, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? Usually I am very committed to books once I start them, especially if I get halfway through. If I'm halfway through, I am finishing that book if it kills me, even if I don't like it. I think I have only DNF'd one book in the last like 4 years, and that book was Over Easy by Mimi Pond, I believe. And I didn't even get halfway through that book. I think I got like 20 pages into that book, and it's a graphic novel, and the art style was weird and I didn't like it, and the story was just a lot of drug culture that I am A, not familiar with, and B, don't care to be familiarized with. So the story just didn't feel like it was going anywhere, and it was just seemed like it was just a lot of teenage art students doing drugs, which didn't appeal to me. And so that was the only book I've DNF'd in like 4 years, and that was last year. So usually if I'm not enjoying a book, I'll still push through it, because sometimes I'll push through the book and by the time I get to the ending surprises me and I'll love the book. But I will try to commit. Once I start a book, I try to commit to it and finish it. Question number 3, the end of the year is coming and you are so close yet so far from your GoodReads goal. Do you try and catch up? If so, how? I guess that depends. If it's like the beginning of December and I have like 5 books to read or 6 books to read, I'll try and get it. The GoodReads goal kind of isn't a huge deal to me. The GoodReads goal is mostly just an easy way for me to keep track of how many books I've read in a year and what books, because it, lists them all right there. So it's an easy way for me to keep track. But so if I don't hit it, I'm not usually upset by it, but I've hit my goal every year for the last 3 or 4 years, since like 2012. I've hit my goal every year since then, but my goals have never been extravagant. I think the first year I ever did a GoodReads challenge, it was like 20 books, and then it was like 50 books and 75 books and 50 books. It was like 50 to 75 books every year, and this year is 75 books. And if I don't hit that, oh well. If I do, awesome. Hopefully I can surpass it, because I really want to read a lot of books. But how do I usually try and catch up? This happened last year where we were like 2 weeks away from the end of the year, and I had like 4 books that I needed to read to catch up. And I decided I was gonna shoot for that goal, but if I didn't hit it, oh well. And so I read a lot of little books that I had, books that were small or fast, or, short stories, things like that. Things that I knew I would get through really quickly. So if I really decide I want to finish that goal, I want to meet that goal, I'll just read little books, read novellas, read things that I know are fast. I did a lot of rereads at the end of 2016 because I've already read it. So I can read it a little bit faster than I would if I were reading it the first time. And it got me a chance to reread some of the books I knew I loved. Question 4, the covers to a series you love do not match. How do you cope? I don't. Usually I will then get rid of the ones that don't match and buy the ones that do match. If it's an unfortunate situation like the Across the Universe trilogy, where the first 2 books match and are gorgeous, and the 3rd book does not match, is still gorgeous, but does not match, I'm out of luck. But I will say with the Across the Universe trilogy, I don't hate this cover change too much, because these ones are solely in space. This one they're discovering a new planet. Having more greenery kind of makes sense. But at the same time, they looked so good next to each other. You could have at least kept the spines the same, so they all look nice on the shelf together, but they don't. But yeah, I really don't cope with my covers being super different. I have the Maximum Ride series as well, and they're all back behind some of my books on my shelf because they don't match at all. For example, here are some of the books in the Maximum Ride series. We have this one, that's a small mass market paperback. And this one, which is the big hardcover library edition that my husband bought for 50 cents from our library. And then there's this one, which is the trade paperback. And then there's this one, which is also hardcover, but not the same size. Question number 5. Everyone and their mother is loving a book that you just don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? This is probably my sister. We have a tendency to like these same kinds of books, and so if I didn't like a book, she probably didn't like a book. If she didn't like a book, I probably didn't like the book. So we tend to bond over those kinds of things, and even then, I'm now on BookTube. So hopefully if I didn't like a book everybody else loved, at least one other person out there will agree with me and we can bond over it together. Question number 6. You're reading a book in public and you are about to start crying. How do you deal? I let myself cry. I tend to be not super noticeable in the background of communities, and if I cry, I cry. I'm reading a book. People can give me weird looks. Most people already give me weird looks because I am the person who will walk around reading a book. Like literally walk. Like I will have my book and be walking down the sidewalk. So I already get weird looks. So if I'm reading a book, walking and crying, the weird looks are going to be the same. This question's long, so I'm just going to read it off of my computer. Question number 7. A sequel of the book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot of the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on GoodReads, or cry in frustration? I'll usually just reread the books before it. That's kind of why I haven't read Empire of Storms yet, because I forgot a lot of what happened in Queen of Shadows, and I'm working on rereading all of the books. It's taking a while, but once I have them all reread, I'll be ready for the 6th book to come out this fall. So I definitely try and reread it. Usually I'm like on the ball and I will have read, I know the release date of that next book in the series, and I will read the next book, the original book, like the month before. That way it's pretty fresh in my mind and I'm already on it, and I'm not like stressing myself out that I have to reread this book before the book comes out. But the new book comes out in 2 days and I don't usually have to worry about that. And then sometimes if I don't remember a lot of the prior book, I read the sequel anyway and just figure it out as I go. Question number 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell someone no? I usually just tell them no. But I'm one of those people that I don't mind if you borrow my books. I just have rules. Like, keep my book in nice condition. If you borrow a hardcover, you're not taking the dust jacket, it's staying with me. Don't dog-ear my pages. Try not to stain the pages. But I'm usually pretty easy to please when it comes to borrowing my books. Just take good care of it and you're good. But I would probably just tell people no. Like, sorry, can't borrow my book. Question number 9. Reading ADD. You have picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you break out of your reading slump? I will reread a book that I know I loved. I've said that a couple times already in this video, and I have said it in previous videos, but I will definitely reread a book I loved. Usually those are saved for like Anna and the French Kiss and all of Stephanie Perkins novels like that, or The Master's Match, which I've talked about in previous videos. I will reread a book that I know I loved, and that usually will just break me out of the reading slump because I then want to get into books that I already love. So yeah, I will reread a book I know I like. Question number 10. There are so many books coming out that you are just dying to read. how many of them do you actually buy? Probably all of them. So far, of the books that I want to read that come out in the spring, I have pre-ordered all but one of them, and that series I listened to it on audio, and it's not available for pre-order on Audible. So I'll probably pre-order it as soon as it's available in audio form. So probably all of them. And the last question, question number 11. After you have bought all of those books you were so excited to read, how long do they stay on your shelf? That depends on how excited I was about them. If I was like mediocre excited, maybe 6 months to a year. If I was really excited for them, like I was By Your Side by Casey West, I will read them the second they are delivered at my door. So it varies book to book. Some books I've had on my shelf for like 2-3 years and I still haven't read them because my excitement is not back yet. I don't want to read it yet, but I know I'm going to want to because it's something that I know I'm interested in. So I haven't gotten rid of them, but I will eventually get to them. That's one reason I love readathons, because there's almost always a challenge. Read a book that's been on your shelf for over a year, and that's usually how those books get read. So that is it for this tag. Thank you for stopping by my channel, and I hope you enjoyed it. I post videos on Monday and Friday, so come back and check me out then. I post videos on Monday and Friday, so if you are interested, come back and check me out then. If you want to get notifications for when I post, click subscribe down below, and I will pop up in your subscription feed. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.